Kiah, great to see you, man. Welcome to Pop Alternative.
Oh, it's great to be here, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about my shark film.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, like I said, we talked about that little pre-interview we just did, right? Spiders, sharks. I mean, are alligators next? Like, do we know what's next?
I probably wouldn't do alligators because I'm an Aussie. I'd do crocodiles.
Crocodiles, yes.
But man, I'd love to do a croc film. It's like some of those saltwater crocs, they're like 15 meters long, man. Like, yep. They're brutal. But yeah, I always say I'm just working my way through the monsters, man. I'm doing, zombies, demons, giant spiders, giant sharks, just one monster at a time.
So I'm excited about this because my question is before we get to the sharks, because something I really loved about this film, because you wrote this as well, is the setup, the training in the beginning. I loved kind of the introduction of these characters that we were going to see in this kind of survival kind of sequence afterwards. I really felt like we met a lot of these characters. We got to know them. How important was that? Because I wasn't expecting that, to be honest with you. There's a big bulk of this kind of training and bonding and setup before the survival. So how important was that when you were developing the concept for this specifically?
Very important. I knew that we were going to be stuck on a raft with these guys for like 70 minutes. And it could have had a possibility for becoming a bit claustrophobic. Mm-hmm. And so it was very important for us to start with this 10, 15-minute sequence that really opens up the film, and you're kind of running through these beautiful, lush Byron Bay jungle landscapes, So I really wanted to start in the real world before we went into this kind of weird, hyper-stylized kind of fog bank in the middle of the ocean nightmare world where you're just in one place for a long time.
Yeah.
But also we needed that sequence to have the audience get to know the characters and have the characters bond in front of us so that we could bond with them, so that, once you go into that kind of shark world, once the shark starts munching people, you care about these boys, It's very important, for a genre film to have the audience give us stuff about the characters before they start being in peril, So that was an important sequence.
It wasn't his fault, but when we find out he ate the peaches, I was like, no! You know what I mean?
It's funny that the lead character, Mark Cole Smith, who played Leo, said that was his favorite line. He says sometimes he'll just be having a beer with his mates and he's like, he ate the goddamn pizzas. He just kind of says it, and all his mates laugh because they know it's his favorite line.
Right? Because it's he's not there, right? Like he's concussed and everything. Like it's tough for the audience member, but it's like, damn, there's no more peaches.
It's kind of a trope though. Like there's always somebody who eats the goddamn peaches. I think it doesn't the evil German guy in Lifeboat in the Hitchcock film eat all the food or something? And I think that was in Unbroken too. The guy goes a bit crazy and eats all the food. It's like a standard, for that kind of film.
So I'm a filmmaker as well in the horror genre as well. I had a film that went to Screamfest last year. My short horror film Adjoining went to Screamfest.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's huge, man.
I appreciate
that's very
that.
hard to get into, yeah.
Well, I'm curious what you think about this. So, I feel like there's been a big kind of boom the last kind of 5 to 10 years with horror films where everything's been heightened, everything's been elevated, right? There's different ways to scare people. There's different kind of creatives. I'm wondering what it's like for you with Sting and Beast of War, being a filmmaker in this kind of genre of disaster movie, creature movies, horror films at a time where everything's elevated and heightened. Is there pressure? Is it just exciting? What's that like for you from a storytelling, directing perspective and filmmaker perspective?
I think horror has always had it's always done well, even from the inception of cinema, horror has always had an audience because people like being scared. But certainly in the last 10 years it's had a massive upturn, and even for a few years there, it was kind of the only genre that could get financed reasonably easily. And so I'd love to do a Western or a big action film or a crime thriller but it's easier to get a horror film up. So what I kind of realized is, okay, I want to do a war film. It's going to be hard to get one up, but if I put a shark in it, they'll probably finance it. So that was kind of a lot of my thinking goes into that stuff. With Sting, it's I wanted to tell a personal story about kind of my family stuck in COVID and, having all these emotional problems. If I put a giant spider in it, they'll probably finance it. You know what I mean? So I like to kind of jump around in genres and, tell lots of different kinds of personal stories. But yeah, if there's a monster in it, it's easier to get financed.
Dude, that's the best. I didn't even think about that. That's amazing. That's little kind of I want to write a movie about my life, but there's a shark in it. Like,
Yeah, and it's like that's what genre's there for. It's like I want to tell a personal story, but what if they had superpowers? You know, and I'm somebody who I like working in the fantasy world anyway, so I have no problem with kind of injecting my stories with that kind of genre fuel.
Yeah.
And you know, I grew up a pretty anxious kid, scared of the dark, so like I understand fear really well. So like I sit in the horror space very comfortably.
Dude, I watch so many horror movies. I make horror movies. I still get scared. Like, what does that say about me? You know what I mean?
I don't like watching them, eh? Like, when I was young, I loved it, but people keep going, oh, you have to see this, you have to see that. And I'm like, I kind of don't want to. I'm 46 years old. I've got kids. I just want to watch Parks and Rec on my day off. If I'm watching a horror film now, because I make them, I spend so much time in that world, it's just homework. So, you know, every now and again, you have to watch something. You're like, oh, yeah, like I'll be watching Weapons, you know, Talk to Me, I loved, you know, like there's all these, you know, different horror films that, of course, you can, like, I'll watch anything Robert Eggers makes, Ari Aster, those guys, you know. But I find it really hard to watch horror films, like, because I get scared. And my wife won't watch them with me, so I watch them on my own, and I get scared.
Well, I wanted to also tell you, because you're from Australia, I'm a big heavy metal fan. Like, the three things I love the most are horror movies, professional wrestling, and heavy metal and metalcore. Those are my three favorite things, because
they're all sort of in the same genre.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's a lot of amazing bands that I listen to from Australia, like in the like metal bands. Like, there's so many. Like Parkway Drive is one of my favorite bands. Polaris, In Hark's Wake. There's a lot from Australia, so I just want to let you know that.
Well, we kind of are the gods of kind of heavy rock. Like AC/DC is like arguably the greatest rock blues band in the world, and they kind of started that, you know, that whole pumping kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, it's not quite metal. It's, you know,
Parkway
it's blues
Drive
rock.
We're doing like stadiums in like Melbourne and stuff. Like, they're huge. You know what I mean? Like, I love that band, and it's amazing. But specifically, there's like 10 or 15 like bands. Like metalcore is like a mix of metal hardcore, and it's like a newer genre. There's like tons from down under, like tons.
There's a simmering violence under our culture, and you know, basically, you know, this country was formed as a giant jail for criminals that, you know, like England didn't want. And so, yeah, our inception was like pretty dark. And so, like, yeah, even though we've got all this sunny, beautiful beaches and all that kind of stuff, I mean, half the stuff in our country wants to eat us. We've got all the sharks, all the spiders, all the most poisonous snakes, and a lot of serial killers. So, there's a dark undercurrent.
I don't know if you make a snake movie. We forgot about the snakes. We talked about crocodiles and everything. We forgot about the snakes. Like a snake horror movie. I don't know if I could do that one.
I couldn't do a snake horror movie because I quite like snakes. Like, I think they're pretty cool. So, like, I'm not really scared of them, you know. Like, but crocodiles, man, I could do a croc film for sure.
Super quick before I wrap, I want to get this in. I'm wondering. I've been thinking about this. I Walk on Eggshells movie. The Beast of War is fantastic. I can't wait for people to go in front. You said enough. I didn't want to go into spoilers or anything. Someone ate the peaches. I guess that's all we'll say. But here's the thing. I'm wondering, like, with Sting or other films as well, like, different movies have different challenges, different experiences, right? You might have wrapped a film and felt good about it compared to another one, right? And like certain things, and you're on to the next. But then when a film comes out, there's like a reception, right? And whether, even if it's not like super amazing reception, there'll be some things people like. It gets a cult following here and there. Does the reception of a film ever kind of like dictate your kind of ranking of where that film kind of leads in your kind of filmography?
One of your favorite films? Like, I got to the end of this and I was too close to it. I was like, I don't know what I've got here anymore. And so when I saw it with an audience and saw the audience just really react, I was like, oh, great. I've made another audience interactive film where it's a roller coaster. And then the reviews started to come in. It's probably the best reviewed film of my career so far. And people are digging it and liking it. And I'm getting beautiful reactions from legends like you and journalists to just like, this is a good shark film, man. Like, and that's all I wanted. Like, I was so worried that I'd embarrass myself in the shadow of Jaws, because there's one shark masterpiece and then there's a couple of good shark films, and the rest is kind of, you know, I'm not a fan. Like, it's like there's a big drop off after that. You know, like Shallows is pretty good. 47 Meters Down is pretty good. I hear Dangerous Animals is amazing. But like, nobody really does that Spielbergian shark adventure film where it's like part like, you know, it's part social, you know, essay about, you know, like these really deep themes, but also then it just turns into like Captain Ahab and like three guys on a boat. It's like Treasure the Sierra Madre with a fin. And I'm like, I kind of wanted to get back and do an old school Spielbergian kind of shark film, with a hyper stylized indie twist. And, I sort of seem to have pulled it off. We didn't have a lot of money on this, and it's very hard to make a shark film like that. We had to build our own tank. We built the biggest indoor tank in Australia, and we built a real animatronic shark, because I really wanted it to be a practical element.
Yep.
And that's hard to do, all this stuff, to make an epic war film with a shark in it, on an indie budget. It's really difficult. And, I'm just so happy that the reception of it is positive so far. So, hopefully people come and see it on the big screen, because it's so much better to experience a roller coaster film like this on a giant 20-foot screen.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I loved it. And congratulations. Seriously. It was an honor and privilege to speak with you, Kiah. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you for what you're doing with the genre. I can't wait to continue watching your films, man. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Petey. I've really enjoyed talking to you, man. This has been great.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.